and welcome you all to the seventh and concluding day of Bharat Nutrition Week, a 7 day long virtual initiative to support the nation's mission against malnutrition and building a Swasth and Ayushman Bharat. So, today we are going to discuss the most critical part of our food system as well as nutritional security, our agriculture and farmers. The green and white revolution transformed us from sick to mouth society to a food surplus nation. But have the fruits of this abundance really reached to those who needed it most? And what must be done now to ensure that our agriculture, which is the backbone of our economy, also become the backbone of our nutritional security? That is also a prerequisite for making a healthy, strong, and a happy nation. To help us understand this, we have a really esteemed and a star-studded panel today with us. So let me welcome with us Mr. Ajay Veer Jakar, who himself is a farmer and one of the, he's an icon of a progressive farming. He is also the chairman of Bharat Krishak Samaj as well as Punjab State Farmers Commission. He is a citrus farmer based in Maujgarh village in Punjab and is a member of various cooperative societies advocating farmers' prosperity. Mr. Jakar is the editor of agriculture magazine Farmers Forum and Krishak Samachar that aims to improve dialogue between farmers, policymakers, and those who influence policy in India. So welcome, Mr. Jakar, on this show today. We also have with us Dr. Anil Kumar Singh. He is the Secretary of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences and is a veteran in the field with over 4 decades of experience. He began his career with the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. He was also awarded with an honorary membership of the Indian Society of Soil Science, and he has been the Secretary of Indian Society of Water Management since 1999. Welcome, Mr. Singh, Dr. Singh, on this show. We also have Mr. Rajesh Agrawal. He is the Managing Director of Insecticides India Limited, a BSc and NSC listed agrocare company. He is passionately championing the cause of farmers through the various CSR activities of his organization and has been focusing on various awareness programs to enhance crop productivity while maintaining and improving soil health and only the judicious use of agrochemicals. So welcome, Mr. Agrawal, on this 6th day of Bharat Nutrition Week. So as we showed to all of you that we have been in the last these 6 days has been discussing about the policy issues which is kind of impacting and required to ensure that we get a better nutritional security. Today we will be discussing about these issues related to farmers. So what best can be to than to begin it with a farmer himself. So let me ask the first question to Mr. Jakar. So as Mr. Jakar, we all know we are largest producer of most of the food grains and all other farm produces, and still we see a very high scale of malnutrition and even sometimes hunger even within our farmers community. How do you see this paradox? How do you describe it? What is making this such a painful irony?
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it is a great pleasure to be with Anil Kumarji and with Rajesh Agrawalji on this panel. To your specific question, let me rephrase your question and put it as a problem is that most of those who are hungry today and malnutrition in the country are farmers themselves. This is the irony of the fact. And why I think the problem is that most farmers are now dependent on market forces for their nutrition. So the whole food value chain system, the whole food processing industry, I think needs a reset, it needs a relook, that farmers have to become self-sufficient to whatever extent possible in their own nutritional requirement. When I talk about nutritional requirement, I'm not talking about cereals, but they have to become nutritional in their vegetable requirement at least, and that requires a rethink in how government designs policies and nutrition programs. The government needs to look at backyard poultry, small animals, goats, pigs, sheep. It needs to focus on dairy. It needs to focus on backyard kitchen gardens, small kitchen gardens. So how you design your policy will have an impact. But these things are long-term goals, and I think to achieve a nutrition through biofortification, through industry linkages, through linkages with the food processing industry is not the way to get nutrition on the farms. So I think we need to relook at the whole system of how it is being designed. There is a disconnect between the health ministry, between the agriculture ministry, between the environment ministry, between the agriculture research institutions. I think a holistic view needs to be taken where all these institutions need to come together and work towards one goal. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's a very interesting aspect as well. I think the food system itself and its impact on health is managed by almost 6 ministries, or it can go to 7, 8 ministries also if we include water, environment, and everything from food processing to health to agriculture to dairy and fisheries. Mr. Anil Singh, how do you see this whole problem as Mr. Jakhar is identifying? That we require those kitchen garden level, small scale poultry, backyard poultry, where the farmers can get the backyard vegetable production and all that. Why it is not happening? I think this is something which is very innate. Farmers can do that. What is making them not to do this?
Yeah, I think thank you very much for inviting me to this gathering, this August gathering. I think what Jakhar Saab has highlighted, is the key issue. See, we are the second largest producer, as far as food production is concerned. Horticulture production also, we are breaking all records. And vegetables and fruits are supposed to be providing the nutrition which is required, one of the. And when we really talk of food security, what we should interpret food security as FAO says is that all people at all time have a physical, social and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food, catering to the dietary needs and the food preferences. So that's the key thing. And in fact, Hippocrates said long time back that let food be thy medicine. So coming to, if you look at that, earlier, when we talk of nutri-millets, farmers used to grow for their own consumption, right? Now, when we shifted to the cereal production, for whatever reasons it was required at the time, the area under these things have reduced. So, which they used for home consumption, now is no longer there. So, that is one of the reasons why, as has been mentioned by Jakharji and also during the Nutrition Week, it has been very clearly mentioned that we have the largest number of children, malnourished. We have the largest number of wasted children, which is again, and that affects everything, the productivity of a person, of a human being. And one of the initiatives that Jakhar Sahib mentioned is of a kitchen garden, or what you call a nutrition garden, So a farmer can have a nutrition garden in which prescribe those plants and those vegetables, whatever is required, so that he is able to meet the requirement. So that is one thing which must be propagated at a large scale, whether you call it a kitchen garden or a nutrition garden. The purpose is that you should be providing the nutrition to the family. And I think now, see, vegetables, fruits, because of the market or whatever you can say, generally it is being sold. But the whole chain, particularly of the perishable products, particularly fruits and vegetables, has a lot of problems. And I think that is why when you talk of a supply chain management system, it is very, very important. And as Jakhar Sahib said, if the farmer has the money or the resources, probably he can take care of the nutrition also. So having a supply chain management which is able to provide enough livelihood, enough income to the farmer, will also partly take care of this issue. So at this point, I would like to stop here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. Mr. Agrawal, you have been seeing and working with farmers communities for so long. So before I go to the nutritional security, or also we need to look into the food security in a different manner. We are seeing, and I have been reading about, from your various articles, that how the farmlands are decreasing. We see a large scale of farmers migrating to other, jobs, to the cities and all that. We are a food surplus country as of now, but how do you see that maybe 20 years down the line? Are we going to be a food surplus country by that time, also keeping in mind that the increasing population burden as well? Or we can, is the right time to start talking about nutritional security, and food security is something we have already achieved completely?
Yeah, thank you very much. So both the speakers before me have given their ideas, so I'd like to extend it further. Because I believe that the farmer is in the business of agriculture to make his both ends meet. And if we look at today's government policy, it says doubling of farmer income, more food, quality. Again, quality has a different definition. What is quality from farmer's perspective? The quality is what is easily sellable. So I believe that the policy needs a twist. If we are planning 20 years hence, or if we look the development which has taken place in last few decades, yes, India food production has increased. But what is increasing? Is the farmer trying to do the main crops what are easily sellable, or he is shifting towards fruits and vegetables? Because if we look at the life cycle of the people is changing. 20 years hence, it was 60 odd years. Now it has become 75, and 20 years from now, maybe 80 or 85. So the dietary requirements, the food requirements are also changing. We need a lot of vegetables, fruits, and the production is also going up. But at the same time, are we aware that what quality of food is being produced? Are they providing us the nutrition level required? Are we trained? Are there enough experts who are there to educate everybody, not only the farmer, but also the consumer? Why there are certain diseases like blood pressure, sugar, a lot of others, which are more popular into our area or our country, and they are not there in the other parts of the world? So it is something to do with the deficiencies in the food, and we definitely need to look at it. India has produced enough quantity, but now if we want to double the farmer's income in the real sense, and if we want the food security along with the nutrition security, we need to change the type of food which the farmer is sold. So that is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very important point. Mr. Jakar, Dr. Singh also said that if we increase the income of the farmers, it is possibly have an impact on the nutrition side of it. But do you really think that just by increasing the income can also make you more conscious or concerned about the nutrition? As we see in city life, many of the well-off families or the people who are not kind of struggling to earn their livelihood, or and have no problem in affording the best of the food. Also, you find a lot of malnutrition among them. Like, for example, every second woman in cities also is anemic. So, do you see that increasing farmers' income is directly connected with the better health outcomes also, as with the better awareness towards nutrition?
Definitely, जैसे सिंह साहब ने बताया कि income of the farmer has a connection to his nutrition. Now, but having said that, it is not enough to increase income to have nutrition, as you are saying. So what I want to say again, what I said, maybe I was not clear, is that we need to make sure that farmers cultivating do not only cultivate cash crops. They do not cultivate for the market. Their dependence on their own nutrition requirements should be met as much as possible from their own cultivation. Only depending on market forces also makes them consumers when food inflation goes up. And that is the problem with policy, because the government will always seek to control inflation. When it seeks to control inflation, the first thing they target is food prices, which impacts agriculture incomes. So what I'm saying is a threefold strategy for nutrition of farmers also. One is that we make them Atmanirbhar in growing their own nutrition requirement by encouraging, let's say, backyard poultry and putting eggs into the midday meal scheme in their own villages, by being able to grow their own seasonal vegetable requirement. How can the government design policies that they do that, which is completely different than giving subsidies for maize seeds or giving subsidies for pesticides or giving subsidies for better quality wheat seeds, because it's a different shift in thinking. Also, what is required is a 20-year awareness campaign in this country about good eating habits. You will have to start from KG, you will have to start from kindergarten, from nursery classes, and tell children. Then we need to tax, and which may not go, I don't know who is sponsoring your program, but it may not go with everyone's liking, Narayanji. But I think we need to tax sugar and we need to tax salt and food processing. That is the only way to control, and we need to do that. Till we do not control sugar, it could be in aerated drinks, till we don't control sodium and salt in food packaging, these problems are going to arise. So we need an awareness campaign, which is a 20-year campaign, that we take a generational shift. You cannot teach it over 1 or 2 years. You need to start with school, and you need to tax, you need to stop advertisements of food which are not healthy. It needs a holistic point of view. You need to get the advertising industry into this. You need to, but newspapers will not support it. Websites will not support it because they lose advertisement revenue. So there are a lot of vested forces in this which will not allow India to achieve health goals. And how agriculture subsidies are given also impacts what people eat. So can we have a system where agriculture subsidies and your health targets, they are in sync with each other? You cannot think in every box. You cannot have health ministry designing its policies and saying sugar is bad, and somebody else is saying subsidize sugar, somebody is saying something. So it needs a holistic point of view. I'll just stop here now.
Thank you so much. But your one point is very important, that how we are going to make our farmers Atmanirbhar for their own nutritional requirement.
Yes.
But Dr. Singh, this is a very different kind of situation. We are not sure which one to actually tackle, because as Mr. Jakharji is saying that everything is being done in silos. And maybe one ministry's action may be, getting hampered by the other ministry's action, because both of them are trying to achieve two different objectives. So how do you see that, with your experience, what is the way forward? What should the government do and try to, when they come up with this kind of, nutrition mission, where we are looking forward to, kind of eliminate malnutrition from, our country and substantially reach towards that? What can be the possible way which you suggest?
What I would suggest is, I think if I build on what Jakharji is saying, if you are farmer-centric, right? A farmer integrates all, whatever, maybe the different ministries, maybe, animal husbandry, maybe crops, maybe fisheries and horticulture, whatever it is. A farmer integrates, he represents an integrated system. So if you have a policy which is farmer-centric, and you think, okay, nutrition is one, as for example, we are talking of nutrition. And I think I mentioned earlier also, and when before this green revolution, farmers used to grow all these small items, for their own consumption. Very little was sent to the market, for very little compared to that. And but with the change in situation, now the market has pulling all those things. So it is important that, number one, the awareness should be there. I think I agree totally with Jagar Saab that the awareness of health. Fortunately, in this COVID times, a lot of awareness on diets and things has come up. I think we should build on that. A farmer, a nutrition garden or a kitchen garden can supply many things. Only thing, awareness is required. You might have heard about moringa, for example. It's a superfood. Sugar beet. These are many underutilized crops are there, like your nutri-millets, which are powers of nutrients. They should be a part of the production system. We are also, if you look at the egg production also, we have gone probably 27, 28 times if you compare with what was in 1950. So material is available. Only thing is the access has to be provided to the farmer through awareness, through awareness for having a nutrition garden, awareness. These things are important. Cereals are important, carbohydrates, but they have to be supplemented by proteins and by many other things. Only then the whole thing will come up. It was mentioned in that there are in cities also there is malnutrition. Yes, because the products that are being, only now we have become aware that it is very, very important. Biofortification is important. But again, making all those things available to the farmer. So first part is the awareness. Second is making it available to him. And I think at a village level, at a cluster level, if you can start promoting these things, it can make a big difference. It will certainly take time because, as you all know, that reaching those so many 14 crores of families and reaching them, where 85%, more than 85% are small and marginal farm holdings, for whom the day-to-day living is more important. So I think these issues have to be kept. If you have a program which is farmer-centric, I think it will take care of all those silos, all those ministries or departments which work in silos. And that's the only solution, I think.
Thank you so much. So, Rajesh ji, biofortification, diversification of crops, these are the things which are coming up again and again, and which is, in a way, I think, not happening at the grassroots level of the farmers. You also have been, I think, trying to, kind of educate farmers, and I think farmers' education has been an important aspect, as many other companies are doing, but your company was also doing that a lot. So you were trying to educate farmers, about, kind of cultivating moong crop, which can help, improving the soil health as well, and kind of give the right kind of diversification, which can also be useful for, let's say, for the animal feed and all that. How much these farmers are actually inclined to do that? How successful has been your experiment?
It's a difficult route which we have taken, because going to a farmer and telling him that you don't do your traditional crop, or in between the traditional crop you have time and you can sow an extra crop, it may be a vegetable or it may be something like moong or any pulses, it is difficult, because we have to approach him and we have to tell him that you have to change your traditional practices. And definitely it's a challenge. But yes, our boys has been always pushing it, because we believe that the agriculture depends on rains, and excessive and short rains have an impact. And since the water is always a constraint, so under these circumstances, if he can have an extra crop, then it is good for him, good for his field. Because yes, he needs chemicals, he needs fertilizers, he needs agrochemicals, but if he can build the strength of his soil by sowing pulses or by putting some biologicals, it is good for him actually. Ultimately, we as a whole, we have to think that how much chemical this earth wants and how much chemical we are going to leave on this earth after we go. So that vision is very much there. So we work for this. But I have a few more points along with this to make. That number one, that we have to respect the farming. I mean to say that each and everybody of us has to be a farmer. If we want healthy food, why can't we make small kitchen gardens, or even in pots? We can put certain vegetables actually, which will look attractive, which we would love to eat actually, and they will be a good source of nutrition. And along with this, what is happening? We are leaving behind our traditions. What was the tradition? Purana gehu, purana chawal, purani dalein, season ka khao, seasonal sabji, seasonal fal. But now what the fad is? कितना महंगा है? मैं 200 रुपए किलो लाया, भाई आप 200 रुपए किलो लाए तो किसान को भी तो 100 रुपया मिला, तो वो क्या 1 रुपए का कीड़े को खाने देगा? नहीं खाने देगा, उसकी मजबूरी है। मैं डीलर को कितना भी समझा लूं, मैं अपनी टीम को कितना भी समझा लूं, मैं किसान को कितना भी समझा लूं, लेकिन जब उसको वो दाम मिल रहा है तब वो जाएगा एक्सेसिव स्प्रेइंग के लिए, तब सारी चीजें धरी की धरी रह जाएंगी। एक पॉइंट ये है। तो मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि अगर हम पुराने सिस्टम्स को अपनाएं, फास्ट फूड की जगह हम सुपर फूड्स को अपनाएं, जैसा अभी सिंह साहब ने भी बोला, तो एक बहुत अच्छी चीज हो सकती है। और उसके साथ साथ एक चीज पे जहां हम काम नहीं करते हैं, बहुत कम अभी तक सोच आ रही है, वो पॉइंट ये है कि जिंक, विटामिन, माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स हम ऊपर से क्यों खाना पड़ता है? मेरे खाने में वो क्यों नहीं हो सकता? अगर हिंदुस्तान में हम कार्बोहाइड्रेट सबसे ज्यादा खाते हैं, जिसके अंदर व्हीट है, जिसके अंदर राइस है, अगर ये सारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स जिंक की, विटामिन की, माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट की मेरे खाने से पूरी हो जाए, तो मुझे ऊपर से दवा लेने की जरूरत नहीं है। एंड द डिजीजेस विच कम अलोंग विद द डेफिशिएंसी ऑफ दीज इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूट्रिएंट्स, तो वो भी नहीं होंगे। तो कहीं ना कहीं एक पॉलिसी शिफ्ट की, एक एजुकेशन की जरूरत है, जो कि स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा आपको प्राइमरी लेवल से, और बहुत ज्यादा काम करना पड़ेगा सरकार को इसमें, बिकॉज अकेली कोई कंपनी या कुछ लोग इसमें नहीं कर पाएंगे। लेकिन एक ऐसी सोच लानी पड़ेगी, तब हम सही मायने में देश को स्ट्रांग बना पाएंगे। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Mr. Agrawal, for bringing this point, important point that, are our consumers ready to, kind of pay to farmers instead of paying to the pharmacies? So, Mr. Jakhar, what has been your experience on that? You are a grower. How do you see the consumer behavior, and will that 20 years campaign will help on it, or it can be, or do you already see some kind of shifting preferences from the buyers or consumers?
No, consumers will not want to pay higher price to farmers. Let's be very clear on it. And they will always want cheap food. And all regimes, whether they be Yemen, whether they be Tunisia, whether they be Egypt, whether they be India, Turkey, or other regimes, will always focus to control inflation, and that will be at the cost of the farming community. But I don't know how much time there is in this program. What I would also want to bring on this program is safety of food, which we are not discussing, which was one of the primary issues why you called me here. And I think you have a food safety authority in India, which is supposed to look after safety of food. But most people forget the fact that Food Safety Authority of India's mandate starts after packaging of food. But if we do not send quality food from the farms, there's not much that food processing industry can do. If you remember, there was a case against Nestle Maggie's for some time back on pesticides in the produce. Now, it was obviously, I don't think so it was there within their grasp of things, because what they're buying from farmers. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that the food that is coming out from the farms is of quality produce. And I will say 3 things which are required to try and get quality produce from the farm. First is you need good agriculture extension services, which Rajesh Agrawal ji and Anil Kumar Singh ji will agree with me that there is a 50% vacancy on agriculture extension officers who will tell farmers on how to grow properly, how not to use extra inputs. There's a 50% vacancy. There is a 50% vacancy in this country on agriculture research scientists at all positions, from the topmost position to the bottommost position, including, I would say, research assistants, professors, and everything. So there is a 50% vacancy in human resources. This country is focusing on infrastructure. Till we don't focus and till we don't bring our focus back on human resources as a priority before infrastructure, these problems are not going to go away. Second thing, 2 more things quickly before I end. So second thing that is required for getting quality produce is that we need a QR code in every packaging of every chemical that is sold to farmers, because increasingly more in the future, to get a value-added price for farmer produce or for increasing agriculture exports, whether they be food processed exports or fresh fruits and vegetable exports, consumers will demand quality produce. They will demand traceability from the food source till the shopping. So we need to ensure that there's a QR code. We need to ensure that every red chemistry pesticide which is sold is reported to the state government in real time. Now, governance issues need to come in. Regulation needs to improve, and we need to get digital technologies along with farm extension officers. Digital technologies is commonly, when you look at other webinars and other discussions happening on digital technologies, every digital technology startup says we will solve the problem. We don't need officers on the ground. Digital technology, through an app, we will tell farmers what to do. It's all bloody rubbish. You need extension officers to help farmers. They can be helped by digital technologies. They can aid that help. And if we get all this right, then we will be on the right path. Thank you.
Thank you. Food safety was definitely a point to be discussed, and we actually have 15 more minutes. So, but good that you have brought in. So, let me then go to the Mr. Agrawal on this. Mr. Agrawal, what is this whole discourse around pesticides and food security and safety? And that is important aspect because the consumers are kind of getting worried, and we have seen so many informations coming that how pesticide or your overuse of pesticides is impacting the quality of food and the safety of food. How your company like yours are trying to mitigate that problem, and how much it is possible to kind of phase out pesticides or reduce the uses of pesticide?
I also believe that if there can be some better solution, if there are no chemicals. But the dilemma is more developed the country, more is the consumption of chemical in all walks of life. So is the truth in agriculture. If we look at the entire world, it's a 56 billion agrochemical market. And India is just $3 billion, which means we are about 5%. And with 5% of agrochemicals, we are I would say, feeding 70% of world's population. So I mean to say, as a whole, the consumption is not huge. It's much lesser than the world average. But yes, a change is coming. What is the change? The change is more greener chemistry products are coming, and the older generation products which used to exist in the past are moving away. These are all generics. So generics, when they were made, they were not invented in India. Everything got invented in the Western world, and it is being sold in the Western world even today. In countries like USA, Europe, Japan, all parts of the world, they are using these technologies. So I mean to say that there is no other easy solution available, but at the same time, yes, the older products are under pressure, as pointed out about the red triangle products. So I'll not say that the red triangle product is very harmful and the other is not harmful, because if we look at the list of the government, 27 pesticides, which they have issued the proposed ban. So this list involved red triangle, yellow triangle, blue triangle, and green triangle products. It includes herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, all grades. So I mean to say, yes, there is increasing lobby against agrochemicals, but yes, if they are used judiciously, they are not as harmful as we predict. Yes, we need to change our habits. As I pointed out in my earlier communication, that if we can eat seasonal food, seasonal vegetables, we can adopt to the best practices. Because if there is malnutrition, agrochemical is not responsible. The responsible is what I'm eating. If I'm eating fast food, I'm not eating fresh food, I'm not eating home cooked food, if the food does not contain nutrition, then agrochemical cannot be at harm. And regarding the second point of digitalization, I would like to point out that government is already very serious. They have given us the notice, they have given us dates. We are talking about that very shortly this traceability of agrochemical will be implemented fully. The QR code is coming. The detailed leaflets will be essentially a part of the label, which will have all details. So all these systems improvement, they are taking place. And we as an industry also wants that consumers should be informed. Farmer is our first consumer, and ultimately the food is consumed by the masses. I also think sometimes that why people don't look at agrochemicals positively. Because if the pharmaceutical is saving your life, at the same time you are getting food because there are agrochemicals. So we need to work on the perception, and we work a lot. Like you are aware that we run various pages like Agrochemical Zaruri Hai, we run Happy Farmer, Happy India. We try to educate the people. So we cannot run away from something. We cannot say like they are not lethal. They are lethal. If you are going to fight a battle, you need a sword, you need a bullet. So you have to have it, and it has to be strong. But in simple words, I put it, that if you are suffering from some disease, then you have to take a medicine. If you delay the medicine, then what happens? The disease multiplies and you need more medicine. Similarly, if your neighbor has some problem, you don't start eating the medicine. Same is true with the farmer. Farmer is aware how to use agrochemicals he is using. Yes, there can be certain pressures, market forces, other things, because as I mentioned, that if the price is too high, particularly for vegetable and fruits, he goes crazy. Nobody can help him. So, but we as a consumer have to help us. We should know that we need Indian vegetable, Indian fruit. Why do we look at the imported fruits which are more costlier? Because their looks are good. But their looks are good. How much is the time of transit which they are carried to our home? So we have to look at all those aspects, and we have to develop our habits. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Singh, since we are talking about food safety, is this agrochemical a necessary evil, or how do you say it? What is it?
Okay, let me just explain. See, whenever agrochemical dose is prescribed, the experiment before it is recommended for any use, the process says that there should be no residual effect of that chemical, right? Let's talk about agrochemicals, pesticides, herbicides. Now, so they are, whatever experiments are done on field or wherever it is, the care is taken that it is not detrimental as far to the environment, to the health of the plant or the farm. That's the basic philosophy of how a chemical is developed, right? Now, the problem comes, and I think where both Dr. Agrawal and Jagaji said is a cure code. What happens is that in the dealer, when he supplies, when the quality is not there, it is spurious. Farmer, suppose, sprays a particular chemical given on the dose described, he finds that it is ineffective, right? So he increases the dose just to be sure, double, triple. That is why the chemicals are blamed, that they are responsible for that. As was mentioned by Mr. Agrawal, we use probably, if you take out couple of crops, we use very little of chemicals in the crops. There are certain crops like, vegetables, and why cotton, BT cotton came, why brinjal, BT brinjal is being talked about, is to reduce those use of consumption of pesticides. So one is the judicious use, I agree. Second thing is integrated pest management is a solution. We are now talking about green technologies so that the environment is protected and takes care of the health. So, and I believe that now the time has come, because of digitalization, that you should have a traceability from the production, processing, distribution, and retailing. The whole chain has to have a mechanism so that you can trace out where the problem is happening. So, as far as the chemicals are concerned, and let's come to the fertilizers. The same thing is in case of fertilizers. We have been saying for decades that please go in for balanced fertilization. Now, if a certain fertilizer is cheap, farmer says probably if he applies that, the yield would be better. It just doesn't happen. A plant requires 17 nutrients, total all-inclusive NPK. The focus is only on NPK. Why do we have zinc deficiency? Why do we have iron deficiency? Why do we have boron deficiency? Selenium? Because these micronutrients, which are required in small quantities, are not being applied. This market has to now, gradually the realization is there that you have to, and these micronutrients were not applied to soil. The deficiencies carried to plants, carried to animals, and then to human beings. We come to know of a problem when a human being is affected. For example, arsenic toxicity. It was when humans started getting that toxins, then it was realized that it is the water which is the irrigation water which is being used is the one which has that, which is being for contaminating the crops, contaminating the water which is used for drinking. So the entire chain has to be looked into it. Yes, we should have green technologies for all these things. And as I said, digitization is there, and we can have a system which will take care of all these issues. And if we can monitor the quality of chemicals being used very strictly. I think it's very important. It is very important because if you want to, from local to global, then it is food safety. You have to have stringent food safety and quality regulations in place. Otherwise, problems would come up when a product reaches outside or when it is consumed. Because safe and nutritious food is not only for export, it is also required for our own consumption. So I like to stop.
Thank you. Mr. Jakar, you want to add something on it?
So I just want to add that what I was not saying that agrochemicals are not required. Agrawal Saab may have misunderstood me. What I'm saying is that we need extension of services, better extension officers, advisors, and Anil Kumarji will also agree with me, Singh Saab will agree with me, to advise farmers on when to use which chemicals so that usage is limited. But there's another aspect that never comes in any health discussion in this country, is that 70% of the antibiotic use is in the animal husbandry sector, in the dairy sector, and the industrial poultry sector. Now, nobody talks about it. There is no record about it. The poultry industry, the dairy industry don't have to keep any data on what they're using. So there is a huge problem of chemical and use in food production. I'm not saying we can do away with it. As Punjab State Farmers Policy, draft policy has very clearly said, is that we have to try and reduce use of chemicals by 10%. We are not saying ban chemicals, not to do with it. How we can do it, I was trying to give you ways where we increase the manpower available, and we also increase digital connectivity and traceability so farmers can get a better value. Thank you so much.
So what is the also the way forward, how the farmer Punjab is taking this forward? Just if you can get some more, kind of case study which can help the our audience also to understand that how other states should follow this suit.
So we have managed to reduce use of chemicals by 10% every year since the last 3 years. We are consistently reducing the use of chemicals by having better extension services. Basically, it's the agriculture department and the Punjab Agriculture University which are working more closely with each other, and we're reducing this. Even the regulation within the department has improved substantially. When the government, when let's say when I joined the Farmers Commission, we did a study on how many pending cases were there in against the pesticide industry for selling spurious pesticides, fake pesticides, and things like that. So we found that there were many cases. Some of those cases had not been filed by government officials for 5 years, 7 years. They had become time barred. So the government took action against such officers. The government also insisted, and when it improved governance and regulation, now we have no pending cases in Punjab. So even the department is working properly. And I think a lot of the flack that the pesticide industry, like Agrawal ji Saab is heading, gets because they are spurious manufacturers who are using the good brands and selling spurious products. So I appeal to the pesticide industry also to help the government get such people, to get such culprits arrested and cases filed on them. It is not just the government which can do something. We have faith in the pesticide industry to help get the bad lot out of the industry. So it's these, and on either side of the Yamuna, with my experience, I can tell you in UP and in Haryana, you have a lot of industries which are not registered, which make fake pesticides, and they use the brands which farmers like, and they appreciate, and they sell products. So these are things of governance also is required. Like initially I said, a lot of things need to come together. They need to sit together and do this.
Thank you. Mr. Rajesh want to say something, I think, then I'll go with the last round of comment, which is...
I would like to reply about the myths actually. The first one is the quantity of agrochemical which is being used. Like when I joined industry in 2000s, so the market size was 2,500 crores. Today it has become 20,000 crores. You may raise a finger, yes, it has multiplied by 10. But here I would like to tell you, the quantity of agrochemical, what was used that day, and quantity of agrochemical, what is being used today, is continuously decreasing. And henceforth, the quantity will continuously decrease. The second point is why the quantity is going to decrease, because the new generation solutions are coming where the dosage is too small, where the AI content is low, and they focus on the target product. The second thing is regarding the quality. Yes, there are about 10-12% of black sheep which exist. They exist on the, as rightly pointed out by Jakar Sahab, on the sides of the Yamuna River, on the borders of the states actually, they are also the existence. But there are many of those people are dons actually, which the industry cannot tackle, because even when we approach to police and we try to name, there is nothing in their plant because they are already pre-informed, and it is becoming very difficult to catch them. Sometimes we hire detective agencies and we submit proper proofs, but the much action is not happening. And the bad name is coming to the industry. Sir, I would like to mention that the failure ratio in the industry is very, very low. We want that the government labs should also become NABL and GLP certified, as you are expecting from the industry. We are deriving all the data from them. And the industry, which is the responsible industry, does not make any fake or duplicate or poor quality products. It is majorly happening in the superior business is happening between 10-12% of the players, which are fly-by-night operators. They are either the small shopkeeper or trader. They will make it. They will put false labels. But yes, with the tracking system coming in, I believe that this will also reduce to an extent. But yes, there will be effort. I will give you assurance that from the industry side, we would cooperate with the government, all departments, and we will try to help the government in finding the black sheeps actually, so that the image of the industry will change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Your kind of concluding remark as a consumer or as a the normal citizen, how we can get a more responsibly grown and I think a better kind of more health oriented food, and what all it's going to take for that. How can there be any more information system, like in the food packaging now we can see some kind of, at least some part of it, that what are the nutritional values and all. Can we get to see that, okay, this product has been grown with the right kind of, because a problem seems to be multifaceted, from fertilizer to agrochemicals overuse or underuse, or maybe many other aspects which are involved. The quality of seeds, the quality of and also the climate impact on that. So how do we solve this problem when food is becoming a major contributor to diseases? How are we going to reduce that?
Yeah, see, I think everybody desires safe, nutritious and healthy food, right? I think now the supply chain management has to be more organized, because we have a very large unorganized sector compared to the organized sector. And I think this large retail business has to be promoted. And as was mentioned, first thing is, well, you should have very strict regulatory mechanism in place. With the technologies that are available now, it is possible to monitor what is happening in the farm, what is happening on the way, on the transport, what is happening. I mean, it's very easy now to have a look at what is happening on the ground. So if you can have a supply chain management system which takes care of the farmer, the producer, and the entire chain. Now, it's not a very easy thing, because it's a very complicated process. It improves, you need a network, you need people involved in that, you need a processing unit and all those things. But I think it is possible. One has to have a look at it. And with the government's push right now for the agro infrastructure, with the focus on the cold chain storage chains, cold storage chains, which they want, the MSMEs, which they want, the agro processing, I think it is possible. One of the things I feel which government can do is, if you can have those agro processing structures created in the rural, in the catchment areas, I can say, for example, you have some farming family, they have intense activities, at certain intervals, not throughout the entire crop period or whatever it is. Why not have some skilling given to them, human capacity building for them, involve them in the primary and secondary processing in those areas, and let them contribute that will help their income. They will also become aware that a good quality food, particularly when you want to export, is very important. So I think if we focus on this entire supply chain management, using the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, many times has referred to blockchain, promoting blockchain management. So all these things can make a big difference. It will take time, no doubt about it. But this is required, because the safe and nutritious healthy food is everybody's requirement.
So nutritious healthy food is everyone's requirement, and it is also very precious commodity. So should be also saved from wastage, and we should have a better supply chain, a localized processing, and the use of technology. I think these are the 3 points you are making. Mr. Jakhar, what's your concluding remark on that? How we are going to get the this nutritious, healthy food, and not only we, even the farmers who are growing it?
I think so. If you look at all the debates, if you look at all the economist academicians, they will always talk about farm to fork. They will say that we have to make supply chains which are farm to fork. I think times have changed. It is from fork to farm. What the consumers demand, farmers will have to grow as we go ahead. If consumers give better prices, farmers will grow those products. If consumers pay better prices for quality, farmers will grow those products. So ultimately, I think awareness in consumers is going to drive the change. It is not going to come from the industry. It is not going to come from the change is going to come because it is called for by consumers whom the industry wants to sell to. And that is the key message. We must understand that. We must help that change. We must not fight that change. We must spend crores and crores and thousands of crores on increasing awareness from school textbooks, from how your activities are designed, what you eat at home, what you eat in the school. And we have to go forward. We have to reduce the food miles. We have to make, as I was saying, we have to make farmers, we have to make village communities Atmanirbhar on seasonal local produce to whatever extent possible. And these are diametrical policy requirements or policy to what the government of India is doing today, or what larger multinational NGOs like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are doing in Africa. They're messing up livelihoods. It needs a drastic change from ground up.
So I think the nutritional literacy is something which you are highlighting, that everyone has to start knowing, it should be aware, and I think that is going to drive the whole the system of bringing the safe and nutritious food, if we are as a consumer demanding that, and making also our communities, farmers community, villages Atmanirbhar to kind of arrange and look for their own nutritional security. Mr. Agrawal, what's your kind of wrapping up comment on it? You are on mute, sir, I think.
As an entrepreneur, I would like to hit it straight. My thought is particularly in the case of vegetables, fruits, etc., there are cycles. There are cycles when the price is very, very cheap. There are cycles when the prices are very, very high. At the time when the prices are cheap, if we can process that food and keep it or eat it, like to give a simple example, I was in Egypt 2 years back. So much tomatoes they give to, they serve in the salad. They said that it is our national vegetable and you have to eat it in every salad. So I ate 10, 12 tomatoes in before every food. So when the prices go down, if we can use or eat those type of foods, or if we can process onions, tomatoes, vegetables and keep it, then we get the nutrition, the target is met, and the food don't go waste, that is also met. So we have to identify and we have to change the eating habits and systems. Actually, that is something I believe. And it has to be educated at the base, because when the child comes from home and tells his parent that, okay, sasta ye lena hai, hame isko waste nahi karna, so it creates an impact actually. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, just to kind of wrap this up, what is coming out as a consensus that if we want to change the kind of food system we have, and also ensure that each one of us and everyone are getting the enough nutrition, the first thing we have to start, ensuring that we are looking for nutrition. We know where the nutrition is and how much we need it. I think that is the one thing which is coming very, very strongly from our panelists. And then comes the whole systemic changes, which we need to make sure that the farmers are being equipped with better technology, they are being equipped with the better awareness, they are being equipped with the better support system, kind of hand holding, which is all helping them to grow more responsibly and make our agriculture more sustainable, and I think becoming a contributor and a stakeholder into the health of our country. So with this, thank you so much for all three esteemed panelists of this session for joining the last day of Bharat Nutrition Week.